Hello, 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 and welcome to the Explain It podcast. I'm your host, Ingryd Hernandez. I am running the podcast today from home, so forgive the ugly blinds. I had to stay home to help my husband with something, and I also have been a little bit under the weather, so it's probably better I'm not in the office. Anywho, but with us today is one of my good friends, my brother from another mother. Somebody who's been like in my SubTo world almost since I started. I believe I joined just before he did, but we kind of have a funny story about how we first started doing deals together. But anyway, I can't wait to have him up here because if you're somebody trying to wholesale in this market, this is the dude you need to know. So hello, Mr. Eddie Marin. What's up?
What's going on? How are you? Can you hear me
Good.
okay?
How are you? So first of all, thanks for covering for me today.
Absolutely.
I needed some help. So both Eddie and I are regional leaders out here in Arizona for SubTo. And so what does that mean? It means that oftentimes we're asked to help and support in, while we're all trying to actually do business and do deals together. But we're trusted resources for the SubTo community.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah, no, it was really fun. We just talked about the whole bird doggy thing and how to maximize, people asking like, oh, the funny thing is that people were like, one person said that, yeah, I go to this one website called like Terms for Sale and I can just look at their deals. And that's how I start up my mornings just to look out. And I was sitting there and I was one of the attendees named Na was like, oh, she started laughing. And then the other attendant was just like, oh yeah, I know it's funny, blah blah blah, and she goes, oh, I'm not laughing at you, I'm just laughing, just keep going. So she explains her story. She goes, yeah, well, Eddie owns Terms for Sale. And then she goes, what? And like, oh my gosh, that makes sense. So how does it work? And so it was just hilarious.
Oh, did you tell her where you were inspired to come up with the Terms for Sale?
How?
You don't remember this?
Now you gotta remind me here.
Well, when you and I first started like actually getting deals under contract and we had opportunities to start doing some wholesaling, I remember that I was telling you that we needed to have like a place to put all these properties.
Mm-hmm.
And so we started coming up with ideas of like, what would you call this website? And like, how would it make sense since so many of these are creative deals? And so I was hoping I was your muse, like when we were having this sort of like campfire, event between you and I, that you were, the idea of Terms for Sale came by just talking to me when we were talking about what you needed.
Yeah. I mean, the amount of ideas that we've come up with have been from juggling back and forth with you and people that are also in the industry that are doing it live, not just I'm going to just talk about it and teach about it. It's going to be like, we actually do deals. Right. And that's like something that's where the good ideas come from. It's because we know we can solve something that we're actively doing on the day-to-day basis. So
yeah. Okay. I mean, I remember this conversation, but it was okay. It's okay. That's okay.
Well, it's there. We're rocking. We're rolling. So thank you so much for being a big part of that then.
So tell us a little bit about how, how you've kind of, I'll say, taste the flavors of the real estate investing game and kind of where you're at now. I know that if folks are going to your amazing event that you do every Friday, they would have gotten a little bit of this flavor. But for everybody else who may have not heard this story, I'd love to hear what you got to say.
Like sort of like where I got started and the kind of the adventures we went across the way to now where we're at today kind of thing.
Yeah. Tell us.
Absolutely.
I mean, because this isn't where you started. This is kind of where you're at now, right? And I say at now because as a real estate investor, we're constantly evolving. I totally appreciate like, hey, get in your lane, get really good at something. Don't stop until you're really good at that. But the reality is that once you're really good at that, especially in real estate, you tend to evolve and you tend to figure out, okay, where am I happy? What is good? But anyway.
I couldn't agree more with that. Actually, couldn't agree more with that. That's a very good way to put it. And yes, you're right. Absolutely, I didn't start here. I started where it took us. I'm formerly known as one of the Bash brothers, still always till the day I die. But we started in I did wholesaling in 2019 for the first time with Cody Barton before Cody Barton and Pace even became a thing. Cody told me about wholesaling. I tried it, not that it didn't work. I didn't work. Do you see what I'm saying? It didn't work. I didn't work, right? And meaning that I was cold calling, I was door knocking, but I didn't have true, like, I'm the hey, show me once and then it clicks. I'm a visual person. So long story short, I didn't have that person. Cody would tell me and show me here and there, but from like the generating lead side, but not the actual, let's get on the phones and negotiate and let's get this going side, right?
Right.
Where I live off of. And long story short, I actually quit wholesaling. I failed the first time. And I went and started making money elsewhere at a dealership. 3 years later, I come back into it with my brother, or my brother from another mother, Tyler Townsley. And we start SubTo. That's when we joined, and that's when you and I first met at a house. We went to go open up
in Gilbert.
Gilbert, right? And so we were just, we've been doing it for about 7 months before we even get our first deal after investing thousands of dollars into it when you don't need to do. Because now moving with the information that we have today, which we're going to talk about today, you didn't have to invest $30,000, $40,000 into a bunch of systems and processes to get your first deal like what we thought we had to do, right? But long story short, 7 months in, first deal, made $5,000 or $6,000. 4 months later, get our second deal. So within a 12-month span since we came back into the industry, we finally got our first 2 deals in 12 months. Took me 7 months to get there. And now fast forward from helping and doing this direct to seller, doing the direct to agent, it got to the point where we're like, hey, let's just help other people get more of these deals flow, or there's more deal flow going. And we started JVing a lot more. It's our most highest return was partnerships and JV joint ventureships. Just to give you an example, that was in 2021, 2024. Last year, we did 73 deals. We closed 73 deals. This year, we're on track to do a little bit about around 80 to 85 deals, but because we're also building a team this time, so we're pulling away and seeing what works, what doesn't work. And, like recently, like we adapt and we learn as leaders, as individuals within our organizations. And, recently there was something that I was realizing that I was the bottleneck of our company. And then after we released it and, we took charge, Brooke, my partner for the wholesale business for Dispo Buddy, in this month alone, we have 7 deals assigned with earnest money deposited in escrow. Right.
Yes, baby. Nice.
That's just the wholesale business. But along the way, up until the wholesale business, I started buying properties. I started flipping properties virtually to properties I've never been to. I started buying and wrapping properties, buying creatively and then wrapping it to an end buyer. And and I've sold a note along the way just to see and create the story behind it. And, it's been one hell of a journey. And leading up until now, it's been very amazing so far, and there's a lot of momentum, but the momentum comes from just helping more people at the end of the day, helping people do more deals consistently. And when I say that, I always look back as like the person that's doing a lot of deals that says that sometimes you're just like, oh, then he's helping a bunch of new people. You'll be surprised the amount of my best partnerships are from people that do more business than I do or doing as much business as I do. And they use me as a resource and use our company as a resource, right? Just like you, Ingrid, you do a lot of deals and then you'll come to us. If we need something, we can help each other do a deal together. We've done plenty of deals together already, right? We actually did you did your first wrap and then we did a wrap together in Buckeye, Arizona. It was one hell of a ride and still is one hell of a ride, but those are wraps. This is part of it comes with work. Unfortunately, it's work that we don't seem or find exciting. So yeah, we talk bad about things that we don't like to do or whatever, but it's part of the job at the end of the day. It's just called a dirty job. It's like the old what do you call it, TV series that people are like, oh, you clean poop for a living, but you don't realize, well, what nobody would like to clean poop, but what kind of lifestyle do you have? You know, plumbers make a crap ton of money, especially in today's world.
For sure. Yeah.
You know?
Actually, I haven't listened to the podcast yet, but there is the Diary of the CEO guy, Stephen Bartlett or something like that. I think is his name. He just maybe 4 or 5 days ago posted an interview with a guy who has been trying to shout to everybody that AI is maybe more evil than we thought, and there's just not enough AI safety out there. So that's been interesting, and like sort of where are we? And I really do feel that if the Terminator doesn't like come to get us, that owning real estate at the end of the day is probably going to be the most sound thing you can do, just because of how much of our world is going to change. But then you have to kind of go like, okay, if the world changes, what are the things that we need? What are like I think it's like the 5 things we need or something, right? Food, water, shelter, like whatever. And I'm like, okay, well, people need shelter. So I think being in real estate and owning real estate is still a really important strategy of making your future work. But anywho, so you went through this experience where you're kind of, I like to call it like dabbling in the buffet of real estate, right? You're trying different things, seeing what excites you, what is going to keep you consistent, and what you feel you're going to excel at. And so now here we are in your JV strategy with Dispo Buddy, right? DispoBuddy.com. Right. Is that where people would go?
Yeah. DispoBuddy.com if you need help finding a buyer.
Yeah. And then now you're really, so I've had the privilege of being around you for a while, where you're evolving more from a doer to a business owner. And that is a very, very different experience, right? Oh, yeah. I'm having my own challenges right now. We assigned a creative deal, and the buyer didn't get all the insurance stuff done when they were supposed to. And so it's like, trying to work through that after the fact. Mm-hmm. And then have my next one that we have together. We're also having some challenge. That damn insurance, I swear. These are wraps actually. So what is your main exit strategy with the types of creative deals you're doing right now?
So like in terms of like me acquiring deals, or
not you acquiring. So I'll give you an example. Like, if I'm going to wholesale a creative, if it's not an investor, we are selling that. We're wholesaling a wrap, and the wrap note holder is actually the seller. So we're like, I'm exit stage left. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So, but it doesn't mean that we don't try to facilitate some of the requirements for these buyers. So like what are the major things you're doing in your wholesaling business?
So as of right now, we are facilitating mostly just the main wholesaling. So basically, we always sell on a mirror wrap. It's basically a subject to with an extra layer of protection for the seller and the buyer. And we put language in there that, or language is added that in the event like the Terminator does come and takes people away from here. Well, the seller still has the means and grounds and legal authority to go after the property and get back the property legally without being handcuffed, and unfortunately, when you're handcuffed and you put people in handcuff situations, you then can become handcuffed.
That's right.
So we want to avoid that by making sure everybody has the ability that if worst case scenario, things do hit the fan, everybody has the right and everybody has the ability to take back the property because the buyer did not perform.
Correct.
And so in that instance is that if something were to happen, like we always it's very rare that we'll just sell or assign a flat out subject to without changing the language in it, that we're putting a note and deed of trust between the seller and the end buyer with the terms of the subject to mortgage, right? Or they're being taken over subject to. Right. And that's mainly our main exit right now. We are venturing off into some of we're exploring, but not quickly, right? So meaning that I've done the whole bouncing, get distracted here, there, this, that, and this, and all it does, it creates more chaos. And I've realized this very quickly, not quickly, and I still realize this, and I still learn this, and I still get reminded on it on a daily basis, but I'm a visionary, so my brain goes at 9,000 miles an hour, right? And so when it goes at 9,000 miles in one way, and then a second it gets distracted, it will go 9,000 miles this way. And so what we don't realize is that when you do change up your process, well, that's the thing. You change up the process. And so if you change from a wholesaling and assigning deals to then going and wrapping deals, well, you have to go the extra mile to learn how to vet and not necessarily legally underwrite your buyers, but you want to vet your buyers, qualify them so that they can then go to the RMLO and, do all this entire thing. But that adds more process to your team's plate and your plate. And
right.
so
they're two totally different business protocols.
Absolutely. And so that's why when we attempt something or we try something, it's because it fits in our process. And maybe we capitalize a little more, or we structure, or we set something up that allows us to convert more at the end of the day, right?
Yeah,
but
yeah.
At that point, we don't change much of our process right now.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, don't fix anything that isn't broken, for sure.
Right. Or don't add things that you feel are things to improve until you've tested and are ready for it. So
yeah. So Alan wants to know if we would buy a SubTo deal in Brunswick, Georgia. So do you dispo in Georgia?
I do. Yeah, it's my 4th largest market.
Yeah. Tell us, what states do you dispo in right now?
So our biggest market right now is Texas. 2nd is Arizona. 3rd is Florida. 4th is Georgia. That was numbers up until 2 months, about a month and a half ago, right before I went to Fiji. And I will say this.
He's like, oh, just before I went to Fiji, it's all good.
It was right before, because that's how I dictate how much time it's been since. But those are our biggest markets. But we've wholesaled in 31 different states still. Right now, we just assigned 3 in Philadelphia. And so like we are in different markets as well, in addition to that. But for the most part, I'm just speaking regarding like where most of our deals get assigned in. And get moved and converted to, right? And so as of right now, Georgia is our 4th largest. But there's Alabama and Pennsylvania are coming in strong right behind Georgia right now. But yes, for the most part, if you check my website, we're at, I think we're in 17 different spots right now.
Is it Terms for Sale?
That's right. Termsforsale.com. TERMSFORSALE.com.
Let's go check this bad boy out then. Okay. So can you see my screen?
Yes, we can.
I
can.
All right, just checking. So, this is so pretty. Look at, hey, join our buyers list. So these are, in my opinion, some of the critical elements if somebody's trying to wholesale, especially one that can be dynamic like yourself, where you can do cash and you can do creative, because you're serving 2 completely different avatars, right? Very good. I love this. So what would you like to highlight about your website? This used to be a spreadsheet, by the way. So when he originally bought Terms for Sale, the domain, when we were talking about getting a domain, he actually had something in Spanish first, I think, and then got Terms for Sale.
That was going to be my wrap. That was going to be wraps. It was a wrap one that was going to be in Spanish, which was bagos. I don't know, like I don't know. I forgot what it was in Spanish.
I know you were trying to do like dueño a dueño or something like that.
Like that. Yeah.
Yeah. This is funny. What is these pictures? Okay. So these are your creative deals. And so every time you have a creative deal in a very specific state, this is where they land.
Yes, absolutely.
You got one in Hawaii. What's up? Right. And so these are the states that you actually work out of, right?
Yes. And so these are the states that we have active deals. So when someone submits a deal over to us, we do vet it. We make sure we get all the information there. And a lot of the times deals do move quickly. Deals do go back and forth. So it's always important to understand that when you submit an offer, you submit an inquiry on this, we'll respond to you. And if it's available, we will get to you and we'll let you know that, yes, it's still available, right? But if it's for whatever reason not available, you understand something. Buyers are liars and sellers are worse, right? And the truth is that when we have buyers submit their offers, we send out an assignment. Typically, we won't mark it pending until we have EMD secured in escrow from the end buyer. And so typically our EMDs are $5,600, non-refundable. We make sure you get all the information you need in order to do your due diligence before you submit an offer. We want you to know everything up front, so there's no surprises later down the road, right?
Of course.
And so we're very transparent about everything that we have to do, or everything that has to do with the deal itself. And so other than that, yeah, that's going to be the biggest thing on how to acquire and how to submit and what your expectations are.
Is this a tiny house?
Looks like it. To be honest with you, I know a lot of our inventory, but I don't know everything.
Of course. Spoken like a business owner. I really appreciate that you answered that way, honestly, because I feel that that's how you know the machine is working. Like if you knew all my answers to things like that, it would tell me that you're too into your business. You need to be on your business, not in your business. So I love that so much. Is Washington one of the states that you would do business in?
Yes. So I know there's wholesaling restrictions in some of these states, but when you see a deal on our platform, a lot of the times we have it structured in a way where it is compliant. Now, I wouldn't say a lot of the ways. For recording purposes, yes, we're compliant for most instances. Now, typically we do handoffs, we'll do marketing fees, we'll do something where everybody is fully disclosed and everybody's fully on the same page on it. And I know Washington, if you're talking about Washington or Washington, D.C.
Well, Tacoma, Washington is up north. It's, where that big old mountain is. Rainier?
Yeah. So, yes, we will look at Tacoma, Washington for sure.
Okay. Well, tell us a little bit, because I know part of this is the challenge of wholesaling in today's environment. So what are some of the challenges like that you've run into since now, like this is your full-time gig?
So the biggest challenge is, so just like every industry, it's market specific, right? And I never mentioned, not one time will you hear me say that the market's down, that's why our sales are down, our assignments are down. You'll never see me or hear me say any of that. In our office, I mean, shoot, me and Brooke and I are so on the same page in alignment with that we've not once mentioned market condition and why we're slower or not slower. Do we acknowledge that there's changes to the market? Absolutely, yes. But that means we change and we adapt and we start underwriting, we start being conservative, we start looking at things a little bit more differently. But that's not a reason why sales are down or up. It's because we're either adapting or we're not adapting. So some of the biggest challenges that we're having right now is that it's clear as daylight that we've changed into a buyer's market. Buyers have the pull on any level, which means disposition negotiations is twice as intensive, more thorough, more clear, more, like there is negotiation. So holding our ground, knowing when to hold our ground. But a lot of the times right now is that we've been seeing, this is to give you an example. We just had a deal back to the whole Fiji. We had a deal that we assigned in Fiji. When I was in Fiji, right? We assigned it 2.5 weeks prior to when the close of escrow date was.
Right.
Okay. So great. We had it assigned. We had pre-negotiated everything. Well, the day before close of escrow, we get notified. And again, when we market our deals, we go to tax records, we verify, we make sure that all the information is as good as possible. Because I don't go to the properties. No one goes to these properties. So it's your job as a buyer to do your due diligence. So verify everything. So this is going to be 2 lessons within one. But this reputable company comes in and says, yes, we'll buy it. So then we're like, great. We assign it to them. We have a $63,000 assignment fee on this, right, here in Arizona. And next thing you know, the day before close of escrow, I get notified from the title rep saying that they're pulling the plug, that they're not going to buy it. And I was like, what do you mean? They're like, oh yeah, they're saying that they got an appraisal and the appraisal came back that it was 600, 800 square feet smaller than what it was showing. And I said, well, they've had this contract for almost 3 weeks and they're a big buyer. And why are they waiting to the last minute to do this? And I said, you know what, at this point, we're going to enforce our contract. It's an as-is contract. And the reason why that is because if you would have told us the day after that, hey, you were marketing it for X and then we've verified that it's X smaller, we would have been more than happy to say, hey, look, you're right. We now will update it, or hey, we verified with our sources too, and and you're more than free to get your money back on EMD wise. Well, we enforced the contract. Right? Why? Because you waited 3 weeks to do your due diligence, and that's not okay for me because it makes me look bad with my partners because they're expected to make X and everybody's on the same page. All my partners know that, hey, if anything's not disclosed the way it should be intentionally, then we give money back. We don't hold people to that. But if we disclose everything that we possibly can, but then the buyer fails to do something, well, and they waited, that's on them. Not on us at this point. You made that decision, right? Or decision. And so 2 lessons from that comes that if you're going to buy something, do your due diligence before making an offer. Or if you do make an offer and then you do your due diligence and then it comes back, just know that not everybody's like us. Not everybody has a company or sees the relationship more important than the actual business itself. Because once you sign an as-is contract, it is yours.
Yep.
Even if the marketing was showing one number, but then it ends up being separate. I mean, we had tax records tell us that it was this number, but when you got your appraisal, it ended up being this number. Well, we have a reputable and fully compliant resource telling us one thing, and which we marketed, but then it came back to be this one after multiple sources. Well, then that's something that we would have been like, okay, great. Hey, here's your money back, or let's figure out a different number that makes sense.
This is a really interesting conversation because yesterday I walked a property. I was told it was 1688 square feet. And you're totally right. It's why I went to do my due diligence, because I was like, let's go see, because the price is good. And it was 215 grand. So 215 grand for 1688 square feet. It's right on the money for co-living. Okay. By the way, this was kind of, a rougher area. And, but it was near a bus line, near where a lot of blue collar workers live. So it makes sense for co-living, plenty of spacing for parking, it was checking all the boxes. And then me and Noe, my business partner on the co-living side, we're walking each of these we're walking it. We didn't even get to go inside, because here's the trouble, right? It's like, and everybody needs to understand this. This is why I wasn't tripping as a buyer, although my text maybe showed like I was tripping. I was like, yo, I can't get the code. I'm like, hey, I don't know these cars in front of this house. Is the seller there? I'm not strapped. I think the guy thought I was a bro, which is okay. But I was like, I can't get in. Your code's not working. But me and Noe were sitting outside in the hot, by the way, 109 degrees outside when we were out there baking. I'm all like, we need to get in the shade. The white people are melting. And like driving or walked around the property, and I was like, oh, this looks like an addition. Interesting. And I was like, what is this? And they sent me the little video. So here's the one place I will tell you that I would appreciate if wholesalers would make some sense of what they're seeing on the county assessor versus their video. If you looked at the video and you looked at the county assessors, clearly there was an addition, but clearly the video shows that the addition is open air. So it's not livable space. So they were marketing 1688, but then when we actually did the math, it was like 1222 or 1232, something like that. And so in my opinion, I think it would be a material fact that was not disclosed, because clearly there was an addition that was not a part of the livable space. all to say is that I would have pushed back, but this is why, to your point, you need to do your due diligence up front as a buyer. Like that's exactly what I was doing, because once I sign, I'm saying this is what I want to buy. So,
And I agree with that. And I 1,000% agree with that. And this is where doing business with people that actually have your back too, and buying from people that actually aren't just counting you as another transaction at the end of the day. And the reason I say that is because let's just say you're out of state and you're buying, because buying virtually can sometimes scare people, and you have every right to be, skeptical. But if I tell you that, yes, this is it, this is county records or so forth, and then I've never been to the property, you've never been to the property, and I'm confirming to you as the wholesaler that's assigning the deal to you, and then you don't want to lose the deal, so you sign in and whatnot, and it's a hot deal because there's 10,000 other offers, then like there's two things. Like for us, it's like, hey, if you've done your due diligence, you're ready to go, and there's plenty enough time, and it's like the same day, like, hey, I'm going to sign off here. I'm going to send my appraiser tomorrow before 2 p.m. and I'll send the wire in before 2 p.m. But you locked it in, but you don't want to spend $500 on an inspector because you're out of town unless you have it secured. I understand that. Like, I'm not saying do this on every deal, but what I'm saying is that if you're going to spend that kind of money and you want to confirm, then you do it. And then if something comes back after the fact and you're like, hey, look, this is 1,000 or 800 square feet or 400 square feet smaller than what it is, and it just doesn't make sense at that price point anymore. Like, okay, it is what it is. Well, to me, I'm going to say, well, hey, dude, like, I understand it. I'm going to verify my own self. I'm going to have my own resources. I'm going to make sure that it's good on this part. Because again, remember, I don't tell everybody that's been assigned until EMD is in escrow, right? But if you wait 3 weeks after you've submitted EMD, that's on you. That's you.
What is EMD, Eddie, for the audience?
Earnest money deposit. It's what secures the position.
Perfect. I was actually going to say it. What consummates is the term the lawyers use. It consummates and validates your contract. So if you don't have EMD, so if you've not given consideration, is what it's called, then you have not made a baby out of this contract. You need to make a baby out of this contract. So, all right. Alan has a question, and that is, Eddie, what's your process for JV deals? Like when a deal comes into your system, who touches it first, who underwrites it, what number spreads do you look for? Ooh, there's a whole lot of questions in this question, Alan. This could have been like 5 different questions. I think what he's asking is like, hey, how do you run your business, Eddie?
So I'm going to keep it as simple because this is something that I am going to be training and doing a whole training behind of what we've done and how to maximize our partnerships, right? Because we run up 100% off of our partnerships. And to give it a quick answer, it's basically, you have to think of McDonald's, right? Separate each part into sections. After you do that, you have to have someone that's like, for example, if I have to sit there and I have to underwrite every single deal, and then on top of that, I have to go do everything else that I'm doing on top of that, like running on the business and in the business and so forth, there's a good chance that there's going to be deals that sit there for a while. So you need to find the person that will pick up the mouse and sit there and underwrite all the deals as they come in, because they own that position. Right. So number 1, a deal gets submitted. Number 2, it gets underwritten. Number 3, we verify all information that's provided to us. We verify everything we possibly can. Do we miss? Yes, we're human. We miss some things here and there. And what I mean about that is that, we missed that. There wasn't an initial on this one, so it doesn't make the contract valid. Right. We assume that everything's been signed. Well, now we're going back and we're verifying documents. We're verifying terms and conditions. We're verifying language, and we're verifying everything. Like, we won't market a property, or not property. We won't market a deal unless we have contracts, not in our agreement, our JV agreement in place, giving us the ability to find a buyer. And once that's in, then it gets underwritten. And then once it gets checked off, then at that point, we then have our steps of marketing our deals. Hopefully that answers your question.
Yes. Sorry, my daughter just got home because, again, I'm at home.
There you go. But yeah, it's definitely much more, that's a macro level, right? Deal comes in, We underwrite it. We make sure, and as a matter of fact, before we even underwrite it, a lot of the times it comes in and we'll look at it quickly to see if it's even a deal that we want to pursue. And then once we say yes, then we get it ready to market, right? But we don't want to ask for everything. I mean, actually, as a matter of fact, we go both ways. Sometimes we ask for everything up front before, if it comes from a source that we haven't worked with before.
That makes sense because you're establishing that relationship. So for sure. Well, if somebody wants to do a deal with you, like where would they go to get started with you?
DispObuddy.com.
Okay. And then I'm going to go there. And for you, Alan, this is where if you're trying to figure out how does somebody run their business, how do they how do they establish themselves? How do they have credibility? So this is dispobuddy.com, and this is where you would submit your deal. So all of this information here is to confirm, whether or not they can actually do this deal with you. So this is basically their JV landing page. Let's see here, learn more. Can I learn more? I can't learn more right now. Okay.
Yeah. So we have two websites going back up here soon. Dispobuddy.com. We have a new website for terms for sale being launched here soon. That's going to be active. But if you want to learn more, if you want to learn how to work with us and stuff, just shoot us a text message. Just go to dispobuddy.com. There's a number there. Shoot us a message. We'll schedule a phone call to get you on the phone. Or Alan, I know you have my phone number, so reach out to me. Or else anybody else, just you can go to dispobuddy.com. Or go to Eddie G Marin, so EDDIE Marin.com. And those are all the resources that you can have. And then from there, you can send me an email. But really the fastest way to do it is just go to partners, or just go to dispobuddy.com, and then you can either email us or call us from there. And then Brooke or myself will be more than happy to break all that stuff down to you.
Did I get it right?
Eddie G Marin. Yep, that's it. Yep,
I know. I'm a pain in the butt because I've known him forever, and I'll just text. I'm like, hey, I got a deal. Can you guys help me with this?
Right.
So, yeah, I'm actually looking forward to being able to collaborate on more deals. I know that one of the evolutions that we both have partaken on is like, how do we put ourselves out there, and how do we put deals, in front of folks? And, a lot of the creative juices come together with that kind of thing. And it's actually led me to where I've helped with creativelisting.com with, pace and how maybe we take it nationwide. But it's really to benefit folks like yourself and myself on how do we get more eyeballs looking at creative deals. So what do you say is maybe one of the top challenges that you have with maybe having JV opportunities? For the record, that's how I do my business too. 100% of my business is JV, truly. So what are some of the challenges that you've run into so far?
Transparency, information that they don't know they're supposed to be giving, or they don't give the information with the oh shoot, I didn't know what to do, or I didn't know if that was important or not. I'd say information, undisclosed liens or undisclosed anything undisclosed, honestly. Anything that has to do with the deal, like just say it up front, because it's going to be found. We're going to find out about it. And then after that, just letting you know, like, this is exactly leading to that, is that the more we find out about deals that you're bringing us that aren't up front, the less we want to work with you, and the less we will work with you, the less we're not going to be that. And so false expectations too, right? Making sure, that's why when we get on the phone calls, we hit the expectations early on, quickly. How we work as partners, we are a win-win, lose-lose partnership, that it does not matter what it is that you're doing. Doesn't matter what happens to the buyer. Doesn't matter what happens to the seller. You and I are partners. And so what that means is that if my buyer decides to say, hey, I'm no longer going to close, or I'm no longer going to proceed, or whatever it is, and we agreed that we were supposed to make $10,000, but then the buyer comes back and says something, he goes, no, I need a $2,000 reduction. that it doesn't come, it's not it's $2,000 from your side, Eddie, because that's your buyer and you could have done something with your buyer. And we still get our 5K and you get 3K, right? It's not like that. Why? Because half the times and half the problems come from the title issues, not from the buyer issues. So the other half of the time, if you're, and this is why I say it's win-win, lose-lose. I don't even make this an option, but most people, that happens with the title and the seller, and then the assignment fee goes down, they're the ones that are gonna be like, oh no, it's not what we agreed to. I'm not going to take the discount from my seller side because that's not how this works. Be like, right, okay, cool. So you want me to own up to my buyer side situations, but because of your seller side situations it's not the same. I said, right. Interesting. So we are win-win, lose-lose no matter what. So if we make $20,000 and then somehow something happens when there's an undisclosed lien and it was $8,000 less, now there's only $12,000. I'm not going to sit there and say, Ingryd, you lied, you didn't disclose, you should have found out about this deal. I don't point fingers. I say, great, move along. Let's get to the next one. Right. When most JVs and partnerships, most of the time they're just like, oh man, it's because you're counting your money. They're counting their money already. So they're like, I'm going to make $10,000. And then when something happens, when the buyer's like, hey, look, you guys didn't disclose this I'm still willing to buy it, but at a $5,000 discount. And now the deal goes from $10,000 to $7,500. Well, most people are so greedy and they're so stuck on their counting their funds that now they're like, oh no, you're going to take $2,500 away from me. It's almost like they're so set on that one deal that they don't realize that it's one deal, move it along, one deal, move it along, one deal, move it along.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But I would say biggest challenges is that.
Yeah. It's just being fully transparent. Give me all your warts and hairy armpit info. I need to know that up front so that we know how to shave it up. So right on.
Analogy, I like that.
I don't know. It was a terrible one. I don't know why I went that way. Alan, how do you get most of your JV partners? Referrals, outreach?
All the above. I don't do much outreach as much. I do a lot of brand. Okay, so the funny thing is I do a lot, but I don't do any branding. Figure that one out. Okay. What that means is that
I disagree with you.
So meaning this, I put myself out there everywhere, but I'm not the one that posts. Does it make sense? So I don't physically have a lot of posting myself. I do post here and there, but it's typically everybody else that posts for me. And then I accept the collaboration aspect of it. But it's very rare. And that's something that I did hire a branding team as well. So we are going to be going out and promoting at a much different scale now. But yes, the answer is referrals. I put myself in rooms and I lead with the win-win, lose-lose partnership mentality. And I always give my time and attention, or I always give my time to people at all costs, because I was there once, and it meant everything when people actually spent the time and they weren't too cool for school. Does it slow me down at times? Yes. Today it slows me down, but the gift keeps on giving when you keep giving today. Does it make sense?
Yeah. So, I totally agree with you. Yeah. And I would say you have branded yourself. You've leveraged the community, the SubTo community, just as I have, right? Mm-hmm. Because it's a powerful community when you know when you're helping someone that you're teaching the culture of the giving mentality, mm-hmm. and to pay it forward. So, we've been able to do deals together. I know we did a deal where literally Alan, he sent me someone and was like, hey, I'm not doing acquisition. Go work with Ingryd. I put this under contract. And then, so what did I do? We brought the contract to you guys to help us dispo, right? Mm-hmm. And that was a truly hairball of a deal, but we got it done. Right. So I would say definitely a way that you are branding. Everybody is branding themselves all the time, whether they like it or not. It's just whether or not you're showing up in social media the way you are. How branding, the way that I was told is what people say behind your back. So like when you're not there, what Eddie is being spoken about. And so I have to say that, a dude of a lot of integrity. And if I was in a challenging deal, you'd be somebody I would want to be battling that deal with, because I understand how you work. Like that's how you want somebody in your corner, like somebody who's going to actually like be your buddy, your dispo buddy, for crying out loud. So great branding there too. Yeah.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Actually, thank you so much. Yeah, and I couldn't agree more. SubTo being early in SubTo, but also putting myself in there. It's not just there's the amount of people that joined before I did, but didn't put themselves out there.
Mm-hmm.
They can't say the same thing because they're starting where most new people start. Even though they can say, "Oh yeah, I've been a part of SubTo forever." Well, no one knows you've been part about SubTo forever, right? It's because you don't put yourself out there.
Mm-hmm.
I don't physical posts, but I am building the team to do that, or I am getting the team to start building or posting that. But for the most part, my events every Friday, the Zooms like this, podcasting, being out in the community, talking about the wins, not just talking about everything that I'm doing, and being the practitioner, actually having the team that's doing it as well.
Mm-hmm.
Not just telling you one thing and then also not looking at the one deal, because just like you said, what people talk about you behind your back, the amount of people that come up to me, and I don't like to toot my own horn here, but the amount of people that have been coming up to me saying, the dispo guy, right? You're the dispo pro. You guys are the people to talk to. You're the ones that I need to speak to. This is the one that Ingryd or Pace or they referred me to you, right? And a lot of that does have to be because when I give recommendations to people, I listen to what other people are saying about that recommendation. And then if I hear something bad, even if it's false or true, there's a good chance I may not recommend again. Right. And the reason why that is because whatever you're associated with ends up coming back to you. So protecting that reputation and protecting yourself in that level, that, just associating yourself with other people that are doing deals shows that you're also most likely doing deals. Your imagination matches it's something that you have one reputation, you have one name, right? If you get marked as greedy, good luck getting people doing deals with you. If you get marked as someone that just wants to pull one over on you, good luck getting people to do deals with you, especially in a community that's so tight. Outside the community, like there's blacklisting for a reason. I don't like to go in the negative aspect of things, but word spreads quickly. And whether it's positive or negative, bad news is bad news, right? Everybody, there's that saying, bad media is better than good media. In some cases, I can agree with that, but even Hormozi says it in his books. Bad media is terrible media, but it's better than no media, right? So you got to be careful not to have bad media only because you're taking imperfect action, and then only because you need the money now may bite you from getting any more money in the future, right? And so just that's the one thing I learned pretty quickly in this industry. The more greedy you are, the more if you're not a fun partner to work with, meaning another company, not in the business together, right? But meaning like working side by side together. If you're not a fun partner, good luck getting other people to refer you to do more deals with you at the end of the day, right?
Yeah, totally. Well, and I love that. And when people JV with you, what if it's like somebody who hasn't done their first deal, or who is the typical person who's coming in asking you to do deals with you?
I get people that are doing 5-10 deals a month, bringing us their deals. I have a guy out in Washington that's doing 40 deals a month right now, and he's bringing us all his creative, right? And so it's the new people, it's the bird doggers, it's the people that have 1 or 2 or 3 or 10 deals a year. It's people that at the end of the day, think of it this way: is I always used to have the limited thinking, my small brainness back in the day, where it was, I did all this work for this lead and I negotiated it. I spent all this money to get it under contract, and I don't want to give it up to another company and they find the buyer. But they don't realize that the 5 contracts that they're getting are worthless without a buyer. So I'd rather share a piece of watermelon or get a piece of watermelon than getting a whole grape of my own. And I'm gonna die on that hill every single day, because the amount of acquisitions people that can't move their deals, your network is your network. My network is my network. Ingryd network is her network, which means that we have different networks. You don't know the people that I know. You may know some, but you don't know all of them. So which means that if I can use your sources so you can bring me a deal to my acquisitions, it allows me to convert more as an acquisitions business. And even as a dispo business, I had a guy that would get about like 10 to 20 contracts per month, right? And he's no longer wholesaling as much anymore, but he would always like tell us, I have my own dispo company, but if you sell it first, we split it, right? And we would assign half his deals, his team would assign his other half, and guess what ends up happening? His conversion, his close ratio goes up. And he was ecstatic about that, right? He was more than happy about it. Sometimes he'd be like, hey, can you just train us? Can you show us everything you're doing? Can you just like basically just tell us what you're doing so then we can implement with our team? And it's like, I would love to, but then I wouldn't have a job.
So at least you know like where to pull back in terms of like, hey, JV needs to be in a value exchange, not like a, suck out all the processes that we put together. So interesting.
Yeah.
Alan asks, what info makes it easier for you to push a deal fast? Picks, comps, price point, etc.
If it's cash or creative, it depends. Cash, obviously, getting pictures. Actually, as a matter of fact, I would say pictures is very, very important. But if it's a deal and the numbers make sense, it will sell even before the pictures are brought in, right? Pictures are just confirmation that it's a deal.
The house I went to go see, I had seen 0 pictures because the numbers were so good. The numbers were so good. I'm saying 215,000 for 1688 square feet. That was so good. It didn't turn up to be the truth, but I didn't need to see pictures. I just needed to go walk it and see how many bedrooms could I put on this property. So absolutely.
Yeah. So really for cash deals, it's basically, to be honest with you, in order to push a deal is you need to have an address and a price. And if you have solid buyers, that's all you need, really, in the cash deal. Because they're going to run their own comps. Most of these big buyers already know what is a deal in that in that neighborhood or in that zip code or in that city. That for cash deals, it's the easiest ones to move. If it's not moving quick enough, it means you just have to widen your net for buyers, right? So that, and especially, and then the wider you get, the more information you need, because they're less experienced. The wider your net goes, right? So that's when you need all the information. Comps, show me how you got comps. Hey, do you have okay, fine, I believe you. Can you give me what's your best lender that can give me the best deal to make this work? It's like the further out you go, the more hand-holding you have to do to get them to pay that price that you're looking for, right? Yeah. Creative deals, on the other hand, same thing. Price is not as important as the entry fee, right? Entry fee, interest rate, does it have HOA? Right now, our leading question is, or when we underwrite a deal, is the first thing that comes to my mind is that, does it have HOA? That way I know how I'm going to underwrite the deal.
Yeah.
Because am I looking at it from a long-term, or am I looking from a co-living?
Yeah.
So, but pictures are just to confirm the information, but everything else is just simply just data. Phone, give me your address, give me the numbers that's going to cost me to acquire it. Do the payments. What's the payment every month? And number one thing, as when you're assigning creative deals, you need to look after your buyers. What do I mean about that? Is that when you have the mindset of, if I give my buyers all the most accurate information, there's not going to be surprises, and I'm not going to do all this work just to tell them, do your own due diligence, do your own thing, do this, and I hope you don't find this until the day of closing, blah, blah, blah. But you just waste a lot of time doing that. So it's better just to do the work up front, to say like, okay, great. When we get a creative deal, we look at, hey, is there a homestead exemption on this?
Yeah, I would say one of the biggest mistakes that people are doing, especially in those tax sensitive states like Texas and Florida, is that they're not paying attention that it's a primary home, which means you need to make sure there's no tax exemptions, one. And then two, your taxes are reevaluated yearly. And if you bought at a higher purchase price, those taxes can make or break you. So
Right.
for
Really.
sure. That's why I stopped buying in Texas. So
Yeah. I mean, similar. I know we're going to wrap things up here shortly, but it's like the Dickinson house that we bought together. Right. The tax went up from, I think 30, insurance went up from 31 to $7,800. Taxes went up from, I think we were paying $5,200 and it shot up to like $11,000 or $12,000.
That's Jersey money. Holy shit.
Crazy. Yep. And remember when I told you, like, it went from us paying $1,800 a month, renting it for $2,600 and paying you, because you're a sugar mom on the deal, aka lender, paying you the interest essentially that's building up. Then it went to $3,200 a month. So now we're negative $600 plus your interest. So now we're negative $1,000 per month. Well, recently come to find out is that the insurance policy that we canceled, or that we did not renew, better yet said, we didn't cancel it, we did not renew it, because they said you need to sign this document for it to be renewed. And it got sent to the carrier from the escrow company to pay it, and then they renewed it. But then we also added and got a better policy elsewhere. And so we had double $7,000 insurance policies on there, which created the shortage. So now we're actually break even again, because now essentially our payments aren't the, what do you call it, the $3,200 of shortage or whatever it is, because we were paying 2 insurance policies at the time. So our shortage of $17,000, actually we just got back $7,800 in cash.
Similar situation happened to me. We canceled our previous policy, put in a new policy. The new policy was actually cheaper, but the mortgage company combined both in their math of the escrow account that they would have to put away. And they literally owed us over $6,000 at one point. And then the future amount, or the future escrow, which was this year, was actually lower by another $1,800. And it all has to do with just, guys, nobody's purposely looking at your house and saying, how am I going to screw this person? Literally somebody doing spreadsheet work, making the math as fast as they possibly can. And that's why it's so critical that somebody is reviewing your mortgage statements, especially when there is an escrow analysis review, which happens on a yearly basis. So if you guys think that passive, like buying property is a passive thing, no, somebody has to be looking at these statements and making sure that you're not accidentally overpaying. So, man. All right. What is the number one trait that makes a JV partner stand out and and get more of their deals moved with you?
If I were to say a JV partner that I work with close, or like that a perfect JV partner, what they look like, right? They don't exist, but
glasses. He's got brown hair. No, okay, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
They don't exist, but they're pretty darn. Some of them are pretty darn close, right? And so what I mean about that is that, number one, communication. We work as a win-win-win partnership. It's never a you, it's never a me, it's a us situation. Hey, I noticed that this didn't get done. What's going on with this? Just like another partnership that you would with internally, between Brooke and I, or between Bet and I, between you and I and Ingrid. It's one of those things that it's never a you. You always want to work as a us. How is our buyer doing? How is this? We talk in terms of, this is our deal together when we're doing something, right? The next thing is that you're quick and communicating, and your response time is on top of it with us, because we're doing all the work on the back end. Which, if a buyer requests something and you're not getting it to us because you're in communication with the seller or the agent, and it takes you a day or two to respond, we're not going to convert that buyer. So we don't want to do all this extra work and marketing and putting all our resources to our team to market these deals. And then next thing you know, you're sitting here like, well, yeah, I couldn't get the hold of the seller, but you didn't answer us at all. Zero. We couldn't give the buyer an update or anything. So we're sitting there. We look bad because we're marketing a deal that we're not responsive to. Right. And so communication is key. Moving it as quickly as possible is key. Number two is, I would say, communication, right? Communication and speaking in a way that it's us as a team. Okay. Because we are your partners at the end of the day. Right. So we want to see you win just as much as we want you to see us win. Right. Which means I don't count how much money you lost us. I count how much money you're making us. Right. And vice versa. And so that's that. Number two is respecting our time and respecting, because again, you just saw termsforsale.com. We have 40 deals on there. Okay. Because we have 40 deals on there, we can't attend to you every 3 minutes and asking us for an update on a deal that, trust me, follow the process and trust us. We're not asking you every 3 minutes. Hey, did you get new contracts for us? Did you get a new contract for us? No, we're a partnership. I trust you that you are going to bring contracts, and you should trust us that we should bring a buyer. And if we do or we don't, that's why we're non-exclusive, because if we don't satisfy our end of the bargain, we weren't a partner for you at this deal. If you sold it before us, great. High five. Right. That's that. And also the second thing is that negotiations, when it comes down to negotiations. So if we're offering a deal at $30,000 and the guy offers us $29,000, and then you come back and try to renegotiate whatever it is, like, number one is that you honor everything that we discuss. We honor everything that we talk about. That's integrity. When you say something, we agree to something in contract, and you don't change it up. Number one thing that will shoot up a red flag for us, and me specifically on a personal level, is that we agree to something and we agree to it in contract, writing, verbal, whatever it is. Always get everything in writing. And then we get a deal done, and then you go back and you try to renegotiate after the deal is, when I mean done, I mean it's under contract, and now you see what's coming in and you feel like you did something more or you did something whatever extra, and then you kind of renegotiate our agreement to begin with. Right. Yeah. Once the deal is done, then you go and renegotiate it for future references, but you don't do it in between. That right there is the fastest way to lose respect and lose integrity on my side. And it just shows the kind of character someone has. And that's not people we want to work with. Right. So making sure that at the end of the day, we have your back, which means we expect it in return, which means that if you do something, we will address it in a respectful manner, productive manner, that if you do something or you didn't do something, better yet, you didn't do something, we will address it to say, hey, on future deals, can you please have this? Because when this happens, our buyers, or it makes us look bad. But if I'm not going to come at you to say, you didn't do this, you didn't do that, you didn't do this, and attack you personally, I'm simply just saying, we want this to flow better. So this is how we do it so that it flows better. On future deals, can you let us know this? And we respect that in return as well.
So what I heard you say is you provide feedback and you ask for feedback so that the next time you guys do deals, it'll be a much better experience. So
right.
Awesome sauce. I love this. Well, Eddie, thank you so much for coming on here, telling us about your amazing business, dispobuddy.com. Guys, don't forget to do deals with Eddie. Go to dispobuddy.com. I definitely need to get on your VIP list because I am looking for deals. This is why you see the IngrydHernandez.com, looking primarily for co-living, but we're also flipping deals out here in Arizona. And thank you so much for being here. Tell Brooke I said I love her. Brookie, I love that you brought Brookie into my life. She's amazing. And I think your team is amazing. Also, don't forget that Eddie does a meetup every when?
Friday.
Every Friday. At what time?
5 o'clock, 5 to 7 right now. We will be launching the 3 to 5 soon again for Easy Power Hour.
Ooh, snap. So be on the lookout. Make sure you're following him on Instagram so you can get the latest update. And thank you, everybody who joined the Explain It podcast. We're here every week, and we will see you guys next week at 1 p.m. Arizona time. See you later.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Ingrid.